Hey guys, I'm just recording on the GoPro handheld right now. I want to make a quick video, show you guys where the progress is. Currently it's Friday, we're going racing tomorrow, and I got a bunch of stuff to do, and I'll kind of walk you through what all that is. So let's first update everything that I've done so far. I got my parachute mount done. I don't know if I even showed this, that I was putting a parachute on the car, but I made everything for it. Basically ties into the license plate / bumper, ties into my parachute bar, welds in, and I can de-pin it. Yeah, you can see the pin down there. I can de-pin that if I need to. And then this was some scrap tube that I had already bent in this formation. And then I made a couple little plates to attach it to. So this is all set. It's a spring launcher, 430 Stroud chute. It's the biggest single that they make because the car is heavy. And that's all done. I haven't pulled it. I guess I'm gonna pull it first round is what I plan, unless the run doesn't go well. But the next thing on the agenda, or I guess one of them, is that I need to run a power setup for this pump, and I don't really quite understand it, but essentially Aeromotive recommends that you use a 6 for this wire. So I was going to put like a plug in it. I was going to put a plug so that they would unattach, but it's really hard to jump that wire size and still be, I don't know, have them hooked together or whatever. So my plan is now put a ring terminal on it, put it to there, then put this one to here, and then I've got another ground stud I'm going to do the same thing for. Right next to it, run the ground over to the battery over here, and then that'll be all done except for the high-speed wire, which I'm putting a hob switch in the front of the car because I'm out of IO on the Terminator. So I've got my hob switch here. I've got 16 foot of harness. This is just from Racetronics. So this is a 16 foot harness. Essentially, we're just gonna put it up here on the firewall with a vacuum. I don't know where my little block is, but essentially I have a vacuum block. I made a block off plate back here where my window or wiper motor used to be, and put that plate or that vacuum block there, and then run one up to the intake to tie it in. And then we'll just run all the wiring back through the car, back to the back. And then a simple relay for when that switch closes, it'll trigger the ground and turn the pump on high speed, 12 volt. So you guys weren't really here for all the drive line issues that I had. Maybe I'll make a video about it because it could be helpful to somebody, but had to redo the rear end a bunch of times. It was partly my fault, partly the manufacturer's fault, but for not putting the information out there. But I ended up getting a wrong size aluminum drive shaft, and that was cool. You know, $600 down the drain. But essentially what I ran into is that this is not a standard Power Glide yoke. Let me go grab the standard one. By the way, I got the radials mounted up. We're going no prepping this weekend though, so no use for them. So this is your standard Power Glide, and then next to it is a 4L60 or a 700R4 yoke. Now, on this yoke here, I'll measure. You see it's 4.5 to the back here. The problem I was running into is that on these aftermarket outputs, so I've got a 169 first gear set. The aftermarket output only has like 4.25, a little less than 4.25, honestly, of spline. So when I thought this was bottomed out, it wasn't. And because I lowered the car, it slid in further. So I said that I was going to need another inch shorter when actually it was bottoming out on the splines. So an inch took away a lot of, I think we actually went 1.25 inches. So it was only on there 1/4 inch. And I wanted to be sure that this was still in the bushing because, man, it was hung out there a long ways. So I had this yoke cut. It's a 7-inch 27 spline for a 4L60 or 700R4. I had this counterboard. You can see there's no splines in there, so that it's 4.25 or whatever the measurement is for the aftermarket output. And I did that, and I had drive shaft cut, and the drive shaft was too short. That was my bad for measuring. I should have confirmed all this, counter bore situation before I ordered the drive shaft, but I did. It is what it is, and it's over there. You can see it leaning up against my cherry picker. So after all that situation, I had this because I had that drive shaft company counterbore this. So I used this to measure for the drive shaft, and this is essentially what I came up with, which is 1/8 of an inch shorter, 1/8 or 1/4 of an inch shorter than the old 3.5 inch drive shaft. I changed this because of critical speed. So I changed all my gearing. The rear of the car is now 410, and the first gear set is 169. So critical speed for this length of shaft, because the car is long, it's 54 inches for this drive shaft. The critical speed was like 6,000 RPM, which I figured I'd probably be over that, and I didn't want to, blow through the floor. So that's why we're changing the drive shaft. This one's going to go in. And then I got a bunch of little stuff. I got to do oil change. I got to clean the garage. It's probably not going to happen this weekend. Got an oil filter over there. Have you got change the oil, adjust the band, drain all the catch cans. That should be a given. I think that's about it. I mean, other than the hob switch and wiring that in. Yeah, I think that's about it. Oh, I do got to put my, I've had an engine diaper here for I don't know how long for Motion Raceworks, and I never got around to putting it on, and I need to because new setup and stuff, I don't know how it's going to go, and I really don't want to oil down the track for anybody else. It's just something I don't want to do. I don't want to be that guy. So yeah, update before we hit the track. I'll be videoing as much as I can when we get to the track. Car's untested. I wouldn't have high hopes for me. I'm going to do my best. I'm going to make a guess at the suspension. And with all the changes we've had, I don't really know what to expect. So that was my main concern. I want to go testing. So today is Friday, and it's like 6 a.m. And I took the day off to go take the car somewhere to test, but really nowhere is doing open testing during the day. It's all Saturday or something. And there was one last night at a bracket track, but they said 2 runs. I could pay, I think it was $50 or $60 for 2 runs, and it's an hour and some change away. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to spend, $120 hauling the car up there, buying in to do 2 runs if I need more. It's basically shock adjustment. I didn't have adjustable shocks on the front before, and I completely changed the back. So I'm like completely in the dark on the front. I can make a kind of a guess at the back what we did last year, because I got notes from that. All right, so first round, 6 pair down at Onondaga. We're at the Detroit TV Pour Your Own Puddle. I drew a nitrous big block first gen Camaro, if I remember correctly. No test passes. I haven't pulled the chute yet. A little nervous on shock settings. I don't really know ballpark of where I'm at because I don't have. I've never really tested from the leave on this spring setup, so I'm kind of spitballing it. Hopefully it turns out good. Turned it down quite a bit, so I might just get completely ran over, but I don't want to break parts because of not knowing the setup. So yeah, we're gonna film the other lane, see where I'm at. I don't want the camera ahead of me or in my line of vision, so I'm just gonna film where he's at compared to me, and we'll get an outside footage. But it's super hot, and well, I guess see how it goes. So guys, there was a wreck, second pair down. I turned the car down a little bit more than I should have, and with the RPM so low it didn't even build boost, and then by the time it did build boost, I was where there was no traction. So appreciate you guys watching, and hopefully I got some exciting news for you on the next one. Thank you for watching. Bye.